something soothing and rhythmic about your breathing too, right? Because you hear it and the bubbles going by you. Hope that sound effect came across really nicely. Here we are, episode 13. I lost track. There's so many episodes.
That's a good thing.
We're on a roll, but I'm always doing that. I think I lost track on episode 3 or something like that.
I think it's a good opportunity for us to dream a little dream. Oh, the places you will go. You know, if we've all been cooped up for a little over a year now, and you know, like you and I were talking a little earlier. Oh man, a vacation sounds so good. And
it does. Sounds so good.
There's the second you book a vacation and you know you're going away, that's when they say you're at like that heightened point of just enjoyment, excitement, knowing that you're going somewhere. Where are you going? And you know, who the heck does not want a vacation right now? A little break from the norm, a little something to change our routine, right?
Absolutely. We talked about maybe switching it up a little bit today, and daring to dream rather than being stuck on you know, a real estate, you know, maybe focus, if you will. Not to say that we're not going to start chatting about real estate anyways, at vacation properties, et cetera. But yeah, like you said, dare to dream, right? The question was, Ross, if tomorrow COVID went away and everything opened up again, where's your first vacation? Where are you going?
Wow. Well, you know, that is a loaded question, and I could probably come up with 10 places, but if it was tomorrow, and I do look forward to talking about some of the great places that I have gone on vacation before, I would want to go to Belize. I would want to go and do some scuba diving, check out the blue hole, you know, relax, explore, do some hiking, take it all in. And I would like to log some hours on the beach, do some reading, take it all in, maybe a little tennis. But I would like to go to the Caribbean and hang out in Belize. Yeah, I've got a book upstairs. I've done a little reading on it. Not enough to really go off into great detail on the show, but that's where I would want to go for a little R&R.
Now, why Belize? Of all the places in the world, why Belize? What's the draw to Belize?
Well, I enjoy scuba diving, and they've got some beautiful scuba diving there, like the Blue Hole. It's not a huge place. Again, for me, it would just be some R&R. There's some beautiful little islands there, and just taking in the sands and the blue ocean. I'd like to shut off. You know.
Are you a big scuba diver?
Well, I've done some scuba diving. The best trip I ever did was when I went to Bali. I had the chance to go to the Gili Islands with a couple friends, Laura and Heather, and we did 9 dives off of the Gili Islands in Gili Air, and I was swimming with the sea turtles and moray eels, blackfin sharks. There's these little beautiful pygmy, what are they called? Horse. Just the little guys, right?
A seahorse?
Seahorse, thank you. Just beautiful seahorses. And just, it was so majestic. It was, you know, for anyone who's never had the chance to go scuba diving and to go like, honestly, it's just so majestic, and you just turn the brain off and you're in a giant aquarium. It's just so amazing. So
yeah, it is a lot of fun. I have my advanced open water.
Oh, there you go.
So I've gone some pretty cool dives myself over the years. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. In my adulthood, I haven't gone as nearly as many as I did in my childhood. Just, you know, I don't know, as things happen, family life, all that kind of stuff. Lisa isn't all too into scuba diving. She usually just gets cold. She's like, I don't like shivering the whole time. So, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it's a different world down there. I had the fortune of doing, as part of the advanced open water, the training course that I did, a current dive, which is you basically just float there and the current just blows you by. So like the ground is like whipping by underneath you as the current just takes you along the ocean floor. You could like literally just drag your hand in the sand without really moving, right? So the idea is don't fight the current because you're just going to exhaust yourself. Did a couple wreck dives, which was really cool. Did some night dives, which I found to be a lot more interesting than I thought it was going to be, because of the depth that you dive to. The sunlight doesn't get down there, right? So it's always naturally has that like kind of dark, almost grayish blue hue to everything, until you bring a flashlight down with you because it's a night dive, and all of a sudden you see all the colors down there, right? I was blown away by how many colors there are in the ocean, right? That you just don't see in all the dives that I had done previously. I just didn't notice them before, and actually because I didn't have a light, right? But yeah, really, 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 really cool.
Oh, it's a euphoric experience just down there. And just like what you're saying, like all you're doing is just like your body's like a balloon. And just by breathing in and out, you can lower yourself to certain depths and you can check in all these beautiful crevices. And what an out of body experience, like a different form of meditation when you're just seeing life in all of its glory, right? So
there's something soothing and rhythmic about your breathing too, right? Because you hear it and the bubbles going by you. Hope that sound effect came across really nicely.
I mean, I didn't have really too long to think about where I wanted to go, but Belize is somewhere that I've been talking about going there for a few years now, and hopefully it'll happen. How about you? Where would you want to take off to?
Oh, geez. Like you said, there's too many places. I've yet to go to, and I've always wanted to go to Costa Rica. Just the rainforest in there, just how well preserved, how good of a job they've done to preserve the environment and the natural habitat of things. I've heard the zip lining is incredible there, so I'd love to do that. But Lisa and I were fortunate enough to go to Bora Bora for our 10-year anniversary a few years ago, and I mean, that was just absolutely stunning. And then talking to some of the locals, as stunning as that was, they would talk about some other islands or atolls that were further out that, you know, were even nicer, and or other areas in and around the Pacific that are stunning as well. So Fiji is on our list of places to go. I've heard so many great things about the I think they're called Fijians, that culture and the community there, and how amazing they are as a people, and how happy and friendly they are. Actually, there was an Amazon series called is it called The World's Toughest Race or something like that? That was done, I think, last year or 2 years ago, and I think it aired last year. But anyways, it was recorded. The race was done in Fiji, right? So you can kind of get an idea of like all the different terrains that they have there, and you could see all the people coming out to help the racers, etc. That was so that's places like that. But I've done a lot of traveling over the years, and I love traveling. I love going out. I inevitably kind of get homesick near the end. I'm like, okay, I think I'm done for now. But it's not too long after before I'm already thinking about where's the next place I'd like to go.
Yeah, definitely one of my passions as well too. I'm not a huge fan of the winter. I'm not a skier. I'm not a hockey guy. I do have aspirations of, getting a place down in Mexico or Florida or somewhere south, just to escape. But funny story, a few years ago, I was booked to go to Ixtapa, Mexico, right? Okay. And about a week or two before I was supposed to go, I came down with pneumonia.
No.
So I was looking and I had this trip booked. It was all done. So I was looking for any excuse to still go on this trip. So needless to say, I finally got cleared from my doctors, and I still had like 2 or 3 days with this resort. So I literally, because I had work obligations and stuff, I literally flew down Mexico City, went to Ixtapa. I was there for a little over 48 hours just to soak up some sun and to go. And I came back, and I can tell you that like a third of that trip was traveling.
And why? Why was it so short?
Why was it so short? Because pneumonia. And I had already kind of booked the trip and had it all. So I was looking to say, what's the cheapest way I can still go down and do
Okay,
this.
I
So-
figured it was booked. I figured it was a week or a two trip booked already, that you had booked a year in advance, maybe something like that. Then you got pneumonia. And why was it shortened to?
Oh, I basically just wasn't getting cleared to fly for my
Okay. Okay. I
doctor.
was gonna say, if you had pneumonia, I'm surprised you were even able to go down for 48 hours.
Well, no, like medication. I wanted that clear. I just needed the sun, right, just to
Yeah.
soak up the rays. But so I do plan to go back to Ixtapa. I hear great things about Huataluco. I've got friends down there. They bought an investment property down there that they rent out quite nicely. So I know Mexico doesn't always get the greatest rap, but there's some beautiful places in Mexico to go and explore. I guess one of the things that we're so blessed is that we do have freedom in our line of work more in those winter months. So getting that opportunity to go and explore. I'm the third. So I was supposed to go to France with my mom for the fourth leg of our Grand Slam tour of tennis. We've done when I was young. I'm English heritage, so I've had the opportunity to go to Wimbledon twice. I think of being up on my uncle's shoulders, waiting to get into Wimbledon as a little boy with my sister, us fighting in the gates as we're there. Then me and my mom, we went to Flushing Meadows back in 2011, and we drove down. We got stuck in the floodplains in New York State, in Bingham of all places, and we were evacuated after a 2-hour hike. Like, we stayed in the hotel for 2 hours. They come knocking on our door. And I'll always remember driving through these floodplains, looking for a way to get out as we're heading into New York. And there's thousands, a migration of thousands of frogs. And I'm driving through all these tiny little frogs as we're going. And then our best trip so far was back in 2017, February 2017. We went to Australia, and we were in Melbourne for the Australian Open. But I'll always remember we did this one special day of driving. We went down the Great Ocean Road to the 12 Apostles. And it was the first time that I had ever rode on the left side of the road. And this was it's a gorgeous drive, like some of the most winding, treacherous roads all along the ocean. And then we got to the 12 Apostles. We had a day of it. We should have booked that extra day because we were basically very shortly thereafter, we were flying back to Toronto. But that experience with that drive, so I drove there and back. I did I think it was over 500 miles in the one day. It was an amazing experience. So we would, if it wasn't for COVID, we were going to plan to go to Roland Garros for the French Open, but we're going to be putting that on the back burner. You know, I digress, but it's there's some of the best trips that I've had just going there. I talked about Bali earlier. And, I got my tattoo in Ubud. I remember I was in Padang doing a little surfing there, traveling all the way through, what a beautiful, breathtaking place Bali is. We went across on a ferry to Lombok, and I did this amazing hike. It was a day hike up into overlooking this glacier lake. And we had all these porters, and it was one of the most treacherous hikes, the most treacherous hike I've done in my life. But I would strongly recommend it to anyone that has the opportunity to ever go. If you do go to Bali, go across to Lombok. The Gili Islands were amazing. The best scuba diving of my life was when I was there. But it's we're blessed to travel, right? So.
Yeah, I'm jealous of probably Bali as well, though I did have a taste of that in Bora Bora, but I've wanted to go to Australia since I did a project in, I think it was grade 5 on Australia. I had to do a school project in grade 5. We had to pick a country or a place, and we had to research it. And as I was researching and creating my Bristol board project display and doing my write-up on Australia, I was like, this is a place that I'd like to go. I want to go. I want to see this. I want to go to this place. And that stuck with me ever since. And I've yet to make it there. Of course, when you fly to the other side of the world, it's not just a short weekend venture, and you're certainly not going to go that far for a week or two. Australia is a massive country, right? You gotta make some time out of it, right? So I always thought, if we're going to go to Australia, it's going to be a month-long, journey or something like that. So Something that's definitely on my to-do list. I'm a big Formula One fan, so oftentimes on a normal, not COVID schedule, the Australian Grand Prix is the opening race of the season. So it's it's March. I always thought I'd love to go down to Australia, watch the Australian Grand Prix, and while you're down there going, tour around, hop over to New Zealand, saying you're down in that neck of the woods, spend some time over there, right? But I don't know. It's you gotta, like I said, you gotta spend the time. If you're going that far, you gotta spend the time to do it. And I don't know, that's either like a 20-year-old person's gig, or it's a retirees person's gig, right? So
How we talked about in our last episode, the Royal Botanical Gardens? Well, I had the pleasure of going to 3 different Royal Botanical Gardens in Australia. One was in Sydney, the other one was in Melbourne. I can't remember where the third were, but wow, like you're seeing these amazing trees that are 400 or 500 years old. It was just such a gorgeous experience. So if you are in Australia, getting the opportunity to go to the Royal Botanical Gardens and just soak it all up. One of the things I'm really blessed to have done is I did a couple mission trips. I used to be a youth leader at my church at Maple Grove United in Oakville, and we went on our first trip. We went to Dominican Republic. It was a very spiritual trip for me. Just 3 months prior, I had been diagnosed with my leukemia, and I was a leader for all these high school kids, and we'd been planning it for the better part of a year. And we went down there, and I was the younger members of our congregation, older members of our congregation, and I had the opportunity to do construction. I mean, I grew up doing construction, so we were there with other groups. There was a high school from London, Ontario, and then there was some other people from Ontario, Canada, that were helping in the construction. And these high school kids from London, they nicknamed me Old Man at the time. So between hearing all these kids from the youth group from my church going Ross, and Old Man, it was nice. It was a mental break from everything going back at home with real estate and with everything else. And so that was a wonderful experience. I was in Mocha, right on the border of Haiti and Dominican. And I could go on about that for a while. It was you think how lucky and fortunate we are as Canadians. Like, wow, that was a different experience. My second mission trip I did was in Missouri, St. Louis, right? And it was again with my church as well too. And we went down, and it was just an eye-opening experience. This was back like 5-6 years ago now, okay? And this is the first time I'd ever heard Black Lives Matter, right? Like we've heard a lot about it in the last several years, like the last 2 years in particular. We definitely heard a lot about it. But for me, that was an eye-opening experience. And, like I love America. I love the US of A. And I always make the joke, it's kind of like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get from township to township. But there was a huge separation there between the quality of life between blacks and whites. And so that was a really good experience as well too, just to realize how privileged, how lucky we are. And I am actually going to do probably a couple more mission trips, but do plan to do one to Africa. And a shout out to one of my favorite clients, Kim Gilliard. We're going to be starting to put together a committee, a team. We were planning to go in 2023. We started talking about this a couple of years ago, but who knows, right? Who knows if it'll happen then or 2025, but it will happen. It will happen. Yeah.
Yeah. This certainly, the whole idea of this show, right? This episode rather was to dream again, right? Because, he rewind the tape, to last year, and it was like, oh my God, this thing, and hopefully it'll be gone by June. Right. Boy, were we wrong. And then it was like, well, maybe it'll be gone, by the fall or something like that. And here we are a year later, and it's just, the numbers are just going crazy. And chatting with, some clients of mine in the healthcare industry, frontline workers. I was chatting with a client the other day who's a respiratory therapist. So he's dealing like literally with patients that have the worst symptoms of COVID, right? I guess the general consensus, I think, for the most part in the healthcare industry is that this is never actually going to go away. That it will just be, it'll be like flu season kind of thing, because variants will always adapt, will always evolve, just like the flu. Like you can't get rid of the flu either. Every year you have your flu shot, and you try to say, okay, what's the dominant strain that's going around right now? We'll try to immunize people against that strain. But every now and again with the flu shot, you get the flu, even if you got the flu shot. And that's not to say that the flu shot didn't work necessarily. It's that maybe you got a different strain that wasn't, the strain that you got immunized against, right? So it might just be one of those things that's always around, but eventually, I think it'll take a while before things kind of like open up full steam. But, again, dare to dream that tomorrow, it all goes back to normal. Everything's open, all airlines, no precautions needed. Where would you go, right? And I like my the best vacations that I always dream about is certainly a mixture between, laying on a beach, basking in the sun and doing nothing, and like having an adventure element, like going places, doing stuff, climbing on things, or going for a long hike, or zip lining, or having a taste of that culture or something like that, right? And just seeing what's around, like not to knock a beach, but a bucket of sand is a bucket of sand, whether it's no matter what country or place in the world it is, right? It's where can you go outside of that bucket of sand?
I don't think people like you and I do very well staying still for too long. I just think that it's, who right now doesn't want to have a chance to quiet their mind and get away from the everyday routine, right? I know that we have to be ultra protective right now with everything going on. And I know, we also have to be careful what we say when it comes to about COVID in terms of like censorship and stuff as well too. So one of the things I think Andrew and I have really prided ourselves on is just being ultra respectful of everything that's going on right now. And just, just hopefully this is something that we can just share with you guys to allow you to just get out of your heads and, where the heck would you want to go? And maybe you start planning a couple trips because, hopefully this third wave is rearing its ugly head and we can all start to dream a little dream again.
Yeah, there's I wasn't sure, I wasn't familiar with that 12 apostles that you had mentioned. Obviously you were talking about being in Australia, at the time that you did it. So I did have to look it up here a little bit, but again, just seeing the pictures of it, that have that goal. Don't let everything that we're having to go through, this short-term pain that we all have to go through. We got a lot of years ahead of us all, right? And give it some time, and there will be a degree of normalcy. I mean, heck, just I don't know, somewhat relatable, but somewhat not. You think of like all the security that was like, that was jammed down our throats right after 9/11, right? How the airline industry and how the travel industry as a whole changed dramatically overnight. And there's still elements of that. It's loosened substantially since the couple of years immediately following that event. But it's still around, right? And I think that's probably going to be the same thing with COVID, is that there will still be measures even a decade or maybe 2 decades later from this. It'll never go back to pre-COVID, I don't think, but it'll probably get really tight. Well, it's obviously really tight right now. It'll slowly loosen, but I don't think it'll ever really go right. Who knows? Like maybe masks will be mandatory on all airlines for the next 30 years, right? With the exception of those people that they just don't want to be told what to do, and so they will not, right? And we'll probably see some YouTube videos of someone being dragged off the airline because they refuse to wear a mask, or Something like that, right? That's happening. You know, that's happening. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it right now.
For sure. That's 1000% at some point going to happen. No, I think the experiences, right? It's the experiences in life that are way more important than our possessions. And, having the opportunity to, right? There's going to be some good deals out there too, right? We talk about
already are. You can, if you're okay with cruise lines, you can buy a ticket now for like nothing almost to cruise sometime within the next 2 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like that industry is hurting
right now. And it probably will be for a long time, right?
Yeah.
But like just like supporting your local businesses. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have their destinations. Shout out to all the snowbirds out there. I'm sure, like, I know my dad loves to go down to Florida. I know there's a lot of people want to go down to Arizona, or they want to get down to Mexico, right? A lot of the places that we like to go, Jamaica, hot spots, but there's probably a lot of those resorts and stuff that are hurting because they're used to us Canadians supporting them, right? So
yeah, there still are a lot of people, as I understand it. There's still, like, snowbirds are still happening. You can leave the country without issue. It's coming back that you have to self quarantine, right? For the 2 weeks. And I don't know them personally, but I know of, like, a friend of someone that's down in Florida right now because that's where they go for the winter, right? And there's lots of people that are down there anyways, and they're like, this is what I do, and I'll just be cautious down here. I mean, it's probably not my cup of tea. Mostly just because, listen, I got not that nobody else has anything to lose, but I'm less worried about myself and more worried about the family kind of thing. Right. So, I don't know. There's lots of things that we've all missed out on in the last year, and probably will continue to miss on for maybe another year, that we all wish we could have back. But, we all try to work together and be patient and know that, like I said, dare to dream, that, don't lose hope and stay positive. And we're making progress, I think, as a world, right? The entire globe, we're all working together and making progress in trying to get this thing under wraps to a manageable degree, right?
Yeah, I got my vaccine booked for May 10th, and I think if anything, we've all become a little warmer, a little kinder, and more respectful in these challenging times, right? Nothing like any of us have ever seen in our lifetime before. And, like you said earlier, there's a good chance it stays around, but yeah, it's a great chance to just allow yourself to think, where the heck would I rather be than where I am right now?
Yeah, go online, look at your favorite destination, pick stuff out, right? I fortunate enough in my early 20s, I spent a month in Greece, all through the islands. I mean, what a beautiful place on the world. At that time, it was very inexpensive. Once you got to Greece and got on the islands, I mean, I was living, I think I was renting a room for, if I remember, €8 a day. And then, like, a meal was like €2, right? Like it was very inexpensive, a great place to go backpacking, island hopping, etc. Rhodes, which is is one of the Greek islands, is the furthest island east. You can actually see the coast of Turkey from the island. An old fort there. I'm a bit of a history buff when it comes to forts and wars and all that kind of stuff. So all that kind of stuff, I love. I went in my high school years. I went to England and Wales, Scotland and Wales for a rugby tour. While we were there, we toured basically a new castle like every second day, which I thought was cool. Like, I love the history of it. I love going into even going back to real estate for a half a moment, going back into like an old house that's kind of derelict a little bit, neglected. And just imagining what that would have been like when in pristine condition, right? What would those old forts look like when they were brand new and they're at their absolute peak? Maybe it took them, 20 years to finish building the fort, or the castle or whatever. But when it was done and everything was operational, everything was at its peak, what was it like? And so Rhodes was cool like that.
Episode, like what castles are for sale from around the world, right?
Yeah, I'm short about a few $100 million. That's the only issue. Otherwise, I'd totally buy them.
There can be some that are pretty run down, some pretty desolate castles out there, right? You could restore them, right? So
so now you're a couple $1 billion in restoration, because what do you have to do? You got to mine some quartz from India and have it shipped, right? Or get some travertine from Italy and brought up to the far reaches of Scandinavia.
One with good bones, I'm talking about. Okay,
okay.
We're just doing the interior. Okay.
Okay. So. Just a little bit of paint and trim work, and it's back to pristine condition, right? Never mind. There's no roof.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that was a great trip as well. Going through Greece. I was also fortunate enough to spend some time in China. Did the Great Wall, which was pretty cool. Again, going back into history, thinking when this was built and the Mongols were, threatening China at every corner. Imagining what that was like. I guess it never, as I understood it, some areas of the wall, served its purpose, but for the most part, it was, they just didn't have the manpower to man it, right, so to speak, right? But I also took a 3-day trip up and I'm drawing a blank. What are those? The Terracotta Warriors.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I went up there, saw the Terracotta Warriors, which was really cool. And they're still excavating it. They're still finding more and more every day. While I was there, I've got video of archaeologists down there still like digging it out. Like I was actually watching them. They had another building set up as they were slowly excavating this area and building and pulling out new stuff. So that was pretty cool too. It was really, really neat. It was a great trip.
Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, I've been fortunate enough I have gone to Costa Rica. I went there with some buddies back. This was back about, I was, I think 31 at the time. We did like a little surfing trip, staying at a hostel out there. Beach parties were amazing. And that's actually where I went when I decided I was going to become a real estate agent. I had kind of just finished working with the family business, had gone through a breakup with my girlfriend, kind of rough times. I was in pretty rough shape when I got down there, but by about day 8 or 9, I had come up with a little plan that I was gonna go back and sell cars and work towards getting my real estate license. And that was back in 2008.
You sold cars?
Yeah, I worked for Oakville Nissan Infinity for about 18 months. It was a great experience there. So that was pretty cool while I was working towards getting my real estate license.
I didn't even know that. You know what? I always thought like I love cars. I would have. I don't know. I never even considered going down that road, but I like cars. It would have to be a manufacturer that I really enjoyed, though. I think I wouldn't be able to do, I don't know, something boring. I don't want to slander any manufacturers out there that have boring cars, but
no, I've stayed pretty branded to my Infiniti as I look at my Infiniti in the driveway there. But yeah, no, I mean, there's for people that dream, car enthusiasts like yourself with F1. My nephew's a huge car enthusiast. My dad is. I mean, you can just go and dream right now about cars as well too. It doesn't just have to be about trips, but I think the experiences in life, the people that you spend them with, time and our energy, they're our biggest resources, and just the experience, the thought, and letting your imagination run a little bit wild right now so that, it gives you something to look forward to.
Absolutely. Well, as we wrap up this episode, idea, dare to dream, right? Keep your head up, keep positive, understand that, while we might not 100% see the light at the end of the tunnel, maybe it's a speck of a speck of light. There's hope. It's coming, I think. And eventually for those travel enthusiasts, there's still opportunities there. Even still, you know what, there's, if you want to keep it a little bit more local. There's still things to do and places to go in Canada for sure, right? Doing maybe some RV in this summer where you can keep distance but still kind of explore a little bit and do some fun stuff. We went out east a couple of years ago, did an RV trip out to the East Coast, and it was a ton of fun. So there's a lot of things you can do, even if it's not on a nice, pristine, sandy beach at 35 degrees baking in the sun.